250 hours on a stock KTM 300 XC. Let's see what kind of damage there is.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. We'll see.
Hey, what's up guys? Rado here with Jay, and we have this 2017 KTM 300 XC that we just bought recently, and this is fully stock bike. Only thing that is not stock is the head, is the Architect head. Everything is stock. Stock piston, stock suspension, stock bearings, stock everything. So what we're going to do today, go through the bike, and also Jay will give you some pointers. If you're buying a bike with this many hours on, what is it that you need to check? I bought this bike online. So we have saying in Slovak, I bought a cat in the bag, so I don't know what's inside. So today we want to see what's inside, so we're gonna look at all the details and see what I bought. I mean, by the look, everything looks good, but when you look at the details, yep, we're gonna come across a couple things that need to be replaced and fixed, which I was expecting. So I'm not really too worried about it, but yeah, let's go through everything and see what needs to be done.
Okay, so the first thing we noticed when I pulled this thing off the stand is the front wheel bearings are shot. This is kind of normal, especially for guys, and you can see how much it moves right here. You lock it out, you can just feel it moving, and you can see little marks on the fork guards where it's been moving. So we'll put new bearings in there when this wheel's off. We also, the suspension has a little bit of leaky fork seals, which isn't surprising. I'm surprised if he hasn't already had to do fork seals in those 250 hours, obviously. So we're going to take the suspension off. When we do that, we can fix the wheel. We're going to get the forks and shock over to Race Tech to go through and see what kind of damage there is. Luckily, we don't see any severe damage here, which is really nice. Guys will fall on the rocks and get chips up in here, and then these forks can be ruined, basically. So you have to buy new legs. So this is really, everything looks good here. So next, the big thing is our engine. 250 hours, everything's stock there. And what do you think we're gonna do to the top and bottom, and what needs to be done there? So yeah, I'm hoping that the bottom end is fine. The KTMs are built really well. So I think today what we'll do is get the top end off. I think we'll check compression before, just for kicks and giggles, so we can kind of see what range it's in. But I think even if it tests somehow in range, we'd still want to put a new piston in, because with Vertex, they make the OEM piston.
Right. Normally you put how many hours on a piston in these bikes?
On the trail bikes, like on a motocross bike, it'd be way less. But on the trail bikes, anywhere from 80 to 100 hours.
So I'm way overdue.
Yeah, and here's one with about 100 hours on it. And you can see how worn it is here. And the rings are, see how it's shiny, it's worn through the rings. And so you're losing ring seal and power.
Right.
And eventually and what you end up doing, guys will go, you can go 200 hours. No the problem is you can risk damaging the cylinder. So hopefully everything's fine there and not too worn out. He looked like he took care of the bike really well, so hopefully that's the case and didn't suck dirt or anything like that. So we'll get the cylinder off. With that many hours, we're probably going to have to get the power valves cleaned. We'll probably have Brad go through and do the power valves, and clean those up and reinstall them. So we'll check that out when we get the cylinder off.
I was riding it a little bit and I switched the carburetor. I was just trying the Keen and it ran a little bit better, but I can feel that the performance is not where it's supposed to be. So probably all the new stuff. Also the clutch, we probably need a new clutch there too. And the brakes are a little spongy and the fluid it's kind of dirty. So 250 hours on the stock. We need to flush it.
Well, we found out even with you have a 2017 350 that doesn't even have that much time on it. The bike only total has like what 60 hours, and the front brake was getting a bit mushy. We bled it the other day, and it was like just felt amazing. So that's something we'll address. New fluid there. Look at the chain and sprockets. We'll make sure all that stuff's good as well.
I want to show you the front sprocket. You see how it looks when it needs to be replaced. Alright guys, so here we go. Look at these teeth, how sharp they are, and they are also a little bit bent in the direction how this thing is pulling. So this should have been replaced a long time ago, but yep, definitely we are going to get new one from Super Sprox. Let me show you the rear one and the chain. So the rear looks better, but still you can see that it's worn out and it's getting sharp and probably also leaning one side a little bit. So definitely needs to get a new one too. And plus, if you are replacing the front and the chain, you don't want to go with the old rear sprocket.
On the chain, I like to pull from the back right here. And on O-ring chains, it's a little harder to tell. But when you pull from the back, you can see how much play it has. And you want it to be not this much play. You want it to be kind of tight against here. So we already know we're going to swap this stuff out. and check the compression right now. Just like so, wide open. It's got a lot of compression. You sure you didn't change the piston?
No, he said it's stuck.
So we're like at 200 PSI, which is really good. Actually, a tiny bit more. Boom. So that's really good.
Here we go, Arcade head. This comes with the insert. This is the insert, and it has these little ribs around. It helps with the power, and you can really feel it. That's what David was saying, and that's what I have also on my 2012 Slovakia build, and the bike runs really good. So right here you can see there's a little bit of buildup. We're gonna clean that, but it's not too bad. Maybe I'm gonna get new O-rings that are underneath this insert. We'll see. But this puppy is going back on the bike. Alright guys, here we go. The cylinder doesn't actually look bad at all. There are no marks, like a deep marks or something that would worry us that we would have to send it over to Millennium to get it replated. It looks pretty good for the amount of hours it has, 250 hours all stack. So we feel pretty confident to put it back. Of course we are going to give it over to Brad at Parapros. He will hone it, clean it, also take apart the power valve, clean all that carbon buildup, everything, and make it as good as new.
Okay, so we got this little tool from 2Ride that holds the piston in place. It's kind of cool, and it wasn't very expensive, and it helps you. It's supposed to be just for one person. I can be doing this right now, but it allows you to hold the. Okay, stop. Right, so we got the piston pin to be able to knock out without putting a bunch of pressure on the rod, and we'll use it when we install as well. It's kind of a cool little deal. It's not going to help you if you lose the circlip, so I still have some paper towels down here, so if I were to drop the circlip, I'd be in good shape.
Alright guys, here we go. Piston, 250 hours stack KTM piston, which is actually Vertex piston. It doesn't look too bad, honestly. Doesn't have a lot of wear marks, no scratches here like a visible big that would worry me. So definitely KTM 300 was taken care of quite well. So David, if you're watching this, thanks man for taking care of this bike.
I don't cry when it rains no more, or I get dirt on my shoes. I don't mind climbing 8 more floors, 'cause these stairs are all heading to you. I don't wait for tomorrow's sunshine when I feel it today, and when it's cold in the dead of winter, remember that snow melts away. One more cold drink, one more roll, one more dance for the doors get closed. Please remember, enjoy the show. Let's get happy before we get old. We don't need plans or a fancy agenda. Well, let's just see where it goes. We got no care for the way people stare at the dust and the dirt on our clothes. Hey, my friend, we'll never say remember.
Alright guys, we are done. We went a little bit further than I originally thought, but we checked a lot of stuff. So what's the damage here, Jay? What do you think?
It's surprisingly, it's amazing. It really is. Like the piston and the compression being so high was a total surprise. The piston looks amazing. I'm thinking your guy might just be really just cruising around, not going too fast, or he just really, good oil, just good maintenance. And especially for being back east, there was some rusted pieces, but not too bad. We also noticed I'm guessing he changed out the steering stem bearings for sure at one time, and they had, in fact, so I thought for sure, I'm going to say, hey, we got to go press new bearings in. They're fine, so we're going to put the steering stem back on. Main reason Rado wanted to change to the different bars, so we're going to put our ODI Champ bars on there. So we took all the controls off, and since we had the suspension off, I'm like, let's check those bearings. Yeah. And sure enough, they were fine. I was really surprised. So we're going to re-grease them.
Yeah, they were even still packed.
Yeah, so yeah. I think they could always be better. Yeah. But that's all it needs is a good packing with fresh grease. So we're going to put those on right now, and then we're going to be down for a week, maybe 2 weeks with the suspension getting done, and we'll have Brad checking out the cylinder. And since we were already that far, I went ahead and pulled the swing arm off because I'm going to have you check out the swing arm. The linkage.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, judging by every other bearing that we're looking at, I think these bearings will be okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna clean them out and then pack them, re-grease them, and put them back together for the linkage and also for the swing arm, because they're still moving nicely. I don't think it's rusted out. I don't think it's seized like you sometimes see on some other bikes. So I'm just gonna clean that and re-grease at home. What else?
That's it, man. It's amazing. So you'll do the front wheel bearings at your house.
Yeah.
Clean this stuff up, and at this time it's really good to clean everything really good. I use scrubbing bubbles cleaner. Also the toilet bowl cleaner. I've showed that. That's a good trick. Toilet bowl cleaner has bleach in it.
Okay.
Put a little bit of that on here with your scrubbing pad, and you'll be able to get all this. You make this thing look like new. I've talked about on my Instagram. I talked about how these KTM swing arms, they're not coated. They don't have any hard anodizing like a lot of the other brands of bikes. So it's just raw material here. So they stain. They can stain kind of easy. But you can clean this thing up all with just your scrubbers and get in here and clean this. It'll look amazing when you bring it back here.
Alright guys, so we're not going to do any kind of hydroblasting at this point. We want this bike to be back on the wheels and running as soon as possible. So we're going to take care of the top end. We're going to take care of suspension. Those are two big things. I'm going to take care of some bearings and then just clean everything and put it back together and probably get a couple new parts for the protection. We're going to make a list that we already started, like shark fin and some other things, probably the fan for the radiators, because this is going to be my trail bike. But we are not building this bike as we usually do. This is just going to be a quick thing to have this bike back on the wheels, running and in great conditions.
But it's still going to look really good. I can't work on stuff and not make it nice. So it'll still be really good, and we're making everything function nicely and look good as well.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, Jay. Thanks for helping me, and we're gonna see you soon once we have our parts for the top end. And don't forget, whatever you do, stay motivated. See you later.